Hi, this is Megan, and I'm here with sketch number 3 from the Creative Memories February 2021 virtual crop. You can get a copy of this sketch on the blog from Creative Memories. Just go to February of 2021, the virtual crop sketch 3. And if you're in the all access group, you can find a copy of the sketch without measurements in the albums, or you can find the sketch with measurements in the album of sketch with measurements. So this sketch, it's a single page, and one of the notable factors here is kind of the patchwork strips around the border. And then it just shows two 4x6 photos here, and then they do indicate having a just slightly under 3-inch square photo here. The mat itself is a 3-inch mat with a 2 3/4 inch square photo here, and then a title block. So my sketch is going to kind of go fairly, once again, getting fairly literal with it. I'm going to do something a little bit different, I think, in here, and I'm not going to use a photo here. I just had two vertical 4x6s. That this was a great layout to showcase those. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's a really easy layout to put together. These 1-inch strips are a neat way to do a page border. So rather than having you watch me hem and haw over the order in which to do my strips, I've gone ahead and kind of pre-laid it out. I am using the Starlight pack, which was from the Creative Memories mystery box that they had late last year. So I've just got 1 by 3-inch strips, and I made I had 4 different colors that I made the strips. I cut them into 3-inch segments. And so there will be ones that hang over the edge, and that's okay. We'll just trim those off later. So we'll go ahead and get these adhered to the page. And I'm going to use repositionable adhesive. You could use permanent if you want. I'm just doing this on the back. Or excuse me, I'm doing this on the the white cardstock that comes in the top loading 12 by 12 pages. I use top loading, so I end up with all of these blank white cardstock pieces. These are perfect to use for backing. If you, to make your base page, you can use them as white cardstock. You can kind of do whatever, but I have a lot of them, so it's just a great one to build the page on. And I'm using 1 by 3-inch strips, and the next layer up, they show as being a 10 by 10, but I actually I have it I'm going to make it a little bit wider. I make it on the measurements. I tell you to do it 10 1/8 by 10 1/8, and that's just to give you a little bit of an overlap so that you don't have to worry about, it's going to be exactly 10 inches here in the middle, and I like to have that little bit of an overlap to make sure that I'm not going to see any rough edges here. There's no gap. I'm okay because my papers, are lighter colored. If I was doing with darker papers and I was using the white background, I wouldn't want to worry about seeing any of that coming through. So we'll just continue on around here. It's a great way to use up scraps. I cut strips because I was actually working with full sheets. I hadn't really dived into this paper pack yet, but you could definitely use scraps. It could be mix and match your collections. It can be just whatever you want. It really goes to show that there's almost not any scrap that is too small to be used to make a page. This would be a great title page option. You wouldn't even have to put photos on it. You could just make it a title page. So keep this idea with these 1 by 3-inch scraps. You just start off with, I started off here at 1 inch because I will overlap. I will have 1 inch hanging off at every corner. It took me a little bit to figure out the order in which I wanted to do these. I actually was going to work with 5 different colors, but then it got to be kind of crazy. So I will warn you, if you're planning to repeat your pattern all the way around, 4 colors works great. When you get into 5 or any really the odd numbers, you're going to start to have a little bit of problem. And there, we've got that all laid out. And then I'll come back and I'll snip those edges off. So you can see in the layout itself here, then we start to build squares on the inside. So I've already cut these squares. I stayed true to the measurements here. So my largest outside square was 10 1/8 inch square. Now when I did this, I hollowed out the middles. And when I hollowed out the middles, I actually then used those squares to cut my strips. So this paper, this lighter purple paper is actually this dark on the other side, and I use that to make the strips. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go ahead and put on some adhesive all the way around. I'm only going to have about a 1/16 of an inch overlap all the way around. So I do need to be just a little bit careful when I'm applying this, that I get a little bit of an overlap, but not much. Probably should have made it closer to 10 3/8 or 10 or maybe 10 1/4, 10 or 3/16 overlap. It's obviously easier to apply a full sheet of paper than it is a frame. But that's pretty good. Got a little bit of a bubble, but that looks good. I like that. So then my next layer up, I'm going a little bit lighter. I've got this fun pattern. And so that's going to go on. So I'm just using some adhesive, and I ran out of my repositionable. So I'm going to grab permanent. I'm pretty confident with how my layout's going to look. And this has a nice thin border around it. This purple border is thin. It's not a very thick one. So I'm just going to center it here. You can see that's why I kind of went with that darker colored side. And then next up is going to be the gold, the center mat. And I went with gold. And there is a nice bold, since I've got a wide edge here, a wide frame, I went with that the more bold pattern there, since you'd be able to see it really well. And then last but not least is my photos. Now you're going to see here why I chose how I did this paper. When I saw this paper in the secret box, I was really excited about it. I have these fun photos of my middle child from one of the cheer and dance showcase events from a few years ago. And I just thought that the gold part of her dance costume was really cute. So this just laid in here real nice, and it actually worked out really well. It fit nicely in this pattern, these 2 4x6s. And down here, I'm going to just put in a little journal box here. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have, instead of doing another photo, I went ahead and the Starlight paper pack had the border strips, and then on one edge it had the 3 by 3 inch squares of different patterns. And so I went ahead and cut one of those out, this star shade. They had a couple of other ones. Here's two of the other ones. So I'm using that here. I do have, she belonged to a cheer group that was called K&K Cheer. So I've used my die cut machine, and I've made K&K. One of the K's was backwards. So yes, that is deliberate. And I'll go ahead and put in something about like spring showcase here, and then I'll do a little bit of a journaling or something additional over here. I'm not 100% sure what. I also used the starlight or the double star punch to punch out some stars. So I'll put those in place. Just kind of maybe use a foam dot there to give a little bit more bling to the overall layout. But this is really about showcasing these two photos. So I don't want to do a whole lot that's going to overwhelm the photos. We do have a lot going on visually with the different colors of papers, but everything pretty much right now is still supporting those photos. And so I want to keep it that way. So I'll do a little bit of journaling here to tell the story behind the outfit and all that fun stuff. But overall, I think this layout is done. So thanks for watching. If you get a chance to put this together, please share in the group. I would love to see what you create. Thanks for watching.